is about the theory of comparative advantage. Okay, as I reached on it, somebody is pinging now. Okay, fine. It's expected that no trade between two countries is possible if one of them can produce both goods cheaper. As we seen in case of Adam Smith's analysis, that there is always they do find the absolute cost differences between the countries. It means the one of the country would have a clear cut difference, that this country has a specialization in this commodity and the other country has in different, because of their absolute cost difference. But here we say that there is also the possibility that one of the country, out of two, is producing both goods at the cheaper, even cheaper than the other country. Now, what happens in that case? However, in 1817, David Ricardo, in his book Principles of Political Economy and Taxation, propounded his famous law of comparative advantage, a law which remains unchallenged till today. This was a basic law which was actually helpful in analyzing the theory of opportunity cost, and also the gains from the trade based on the new amendments. Even the new amendments were also taken the basis of it. Even this comparative advantage was also the part of Heckscher and Olin's analysis, and also it continued when we discussed the new trade theories, even especially the Krugman's theory of the when we do talk about the intra-industry trade model. So everywhere this particular theory was the basis of it. So the theory and the law of comparative advantage was very important. This law states that trade between two countries is both possible and profitable, even if one of them has a cost advantage in the production of both goods. So it means if one of the countries is having absolute advantage in both of the commodities, then still, the trade is possible in case of theory of comparative advantage. The condition is that in proportionate terms, this cost advantage should be different for the two goods. So we need to analyze it, the situations on the basis of opportunity cost or a relative cost analysis, which would allow, yes, the trade is possible. According to Ricardo, there is not an absolute difference between the comparative cost to determining the international trade and business. So they took opportunity cost theory in it. Different countries have a different cost. So there are the different reasons of it, like natural resources, geographical conditions, efficiency of labors, and because of these parameters and the factors, the countries will have a different opportunity cost. Just a second. Okay, guys. Now, due to different countries and such factors, the factors, the climatical, natural resources, and the geographical conditions, these are the factors which are responsible for the different cost. And that was also given by the Adam Smiths too. But to calculate this relative analysis, because the one country may have more natural resources in one direction and the other country may have in other direction. But still, if the relative analysis of the cost is being done, then only we can say yes, this particular commodity would be specialized. Because of the differences, one country can have specialization to produce one good or can have comparative advantage on the other. So when country will do trade, it will export of those goods which have less comparative cost. So each country will specialize in the production of those commodities in which it has greater comparative advantage or least comparative disadvantage. So I'll just go brief to this origin. As I already have mentioned, 1817, there was a book on the principles of political economy by David Ricardo, and he has given an original model. Okay, that was based on England and Portugal. So he took an example of England and Portugal. So first, I'll brief about this England and Portugal's example. So I'll be taking to make you understand only this example first. Okay. So in Portugal, it is possible to produce both wine. The two goods which were taken over there, that was a wine and cloth. Okay, so in Portugal, it was possible to produce both wine and cloth with less labor, because labor was the only factor of production. Then it would take to produce the same quantities in England. So here, Portugal was having, the absolute advantage in both of the goods, right? However, the relative cost of producing those two goods are different in two countries. So this is our job to analyze what is the differences in the relative costs here. In England, it's very hard to produce wine and only moderately difficult to produce cloth. So both of the goods, they have an average, the cost and relatively more cost than this Portugal. So in Portugal, both are easy to produce. Therefore, while it is cheaper to produce cloth in Portugal than the England, it's cheaper still for Portugal to produce excess wine and trade that for English cloth. So the meaning is that the Portugal will go for absolute advantage. If you calculate the absolute advantage, that is for the wine, of course, and for England. If relatively, if you would like to see, the least comparative cost is coming in the production of cloth. So I'll tell you this example in detail. Okay, so we'll go to the next slide about it. The law of comparative advantage refers to what? This is referring to the ability of a party, okay, whether it's an individual, firm, or a country, to produce a particular good or service at a lower opportunity cost than another party. So here they've added opportunity cost rather only adding cost. Okay, so we have here the concept of opportunity cost. It's the ability to produce a product with the highest relative efficiency given all the other products that could be produced. So here two of the countries together will have an opportunity cost analysis, and based on that, the country will have more the comparative advantage, will be specializing in that commodity, or will be opting those commodities where they have least comparative cost. So, first of all, we'll go with the assumptions of it. As I was mentioning in the Adam Smith's absolute advantage, also that these theories are based on the classical theory analysis. So, we have most of the assumptions from the perfect competition. So, we have here the two countries. First of all, we are assuming England and Portugal. Even also, whenever you're talking about the conceptual part of this comparative advantage, there are only existence of the two countries. So whenever you talk about the refinements, this would change into the many countries. Okay, two homogeneous goods, assume alcohol and a cloth we have. So these are the homogeneous goods we are taking for these two countries. It means whatever you are producing, the skill of the labor, you're talking about the same. Interest of both countries are similar. Labor is only factor of the production. Okay, why interest of both countries we are talking about? Exactly, we call it demand patterns. Fine, the demand patterns, when one particular country would demand alcohol, then other country would demand more of cloth. Okay, so this way their demand patterns would be identical, and we call it the similar interest. All labor units are homogeneous, fine, because their marginal productivity, average productivities are also similar, and these are similar in characteristics too. Supply of labor remain unchanged. Okay, and labor units determine the price of both goods. Fine. So we will be taking here the labor units, how much labor units would be requiring to produce this much of the amount. So this is important, and this is actually varying between the countries. So this labor unit has been taken into the important analysis. That's why we do call it the theory of labor value. Constant returns to scale is another important thing. See, this is also the the one of the important criticism of the model. Okay, because taking these fixed proportions and the constant proportions, that is giving you this criticism. Let me see, somebody is thinking somewhere. Okay, fine. So that will be the important criticism of the model, because whenever you talk about the neoclassical assumptions, even after that, the new trade theories, whenever will be there, this particular assumption will be dropped in that case, because
we have, the different form of production possibilities too, as we do talk about only here the constant production possibilities. So always this is not the case that we'll be having constant returns to scale. Then we do follow here the barter system in the trade, so we don't have any monetary analysis, though in the refinements you will be studying the comparative theory with the monetary in the monetary terms. Technology is constant. That is another important criticism. Okay, that technology and transportation, both of the things. Okay, the technology is constant, of course, would change whenever you would talk about Posner's theory and abundance theory. And another important part is this: no transportation costs. So that is again important criticism of this model, because whenever you discuss about the refinements, the role of transportation cost is also affecting a lot this theory of comparative advantage. Then other assumptions are similar what we study in case of perfect competitive market. So perfect factor mobility within the country and imperfect factor mobility between the countries we do consider. There is a free trade, as I told you. They are not following the Keynesian assumption of government interference, laissez-faire system we have. So we have a no obstacles, no tariff impositions. Then perfect competition in factor market and also in the product market. So both ways you are taking the perfect competition. Now we'll come on this original illustration of this particular theory of comparative advantage first. So we'll be taking here the two countries. The one we have England, other is Portugal, and we have two goods, alcohol and the cloth. Okay, here we are talking about the labor hours. Okay, this is 120 hours would be requiring to produce 1 unit of alcohol, and 80 labor hours would be required to produce 1 unit of alcohol in the Portugal. This is 1 unit you are requiring to produce 1 unit of alcohol in the England. Similarly, the 100 labor hours would be required to produce 1 unit of cloth in the England, and 90 labor hours would be required to produce 1 unit of cloth in the Portugal. Okay, so this way expected labor hours you would see. So this is actually we're talking about in terms of cost. This is not in terms of units. Fine. So 1 unit is being produced within this labor hour. So here it is easy to find out opportunity cost. So first of all, we'll see who and which country has the absolute advantage in which particular commodity. So Portugal has absolute advantage in the production of both alcohol and cloth. It's very much visible if we'll only calculate about the absolute differences. So England is having more, required more labor hours in the production of alcohol as well in the production of cloth. So only the Portugal is there who can produce both of the commodities at the cheaper cost. So this requires 80 labor hours here and the 90 labor hours here for producing cloth and alcohol. So if you follow this, okay, so there is no need, the Portugal will participate in international trade because England is, the facing higher comparative costs. In that case, the Portugal will enjoy by producing this, in within their own country itself. But Ricardo is giving answer to it. Ricardo says because we are only measuring and comparing here the absolute cost differences. On the basis of that, that judgment is okay. Okay, the Portugal should go for the Turkey level. But if you go with the opportunity cost analysis, this country and even both countries would be gaining after participating in international trade. So that is essential. How is that possible? That is our next slide is explaining. So Portugal is definitely will have an absolute advantage in both. Okay, and if I do find this opportunity cost, so production cost of alcohol. See what I'm doing here: 80 divided by 120 labor hours. What I exactly do, this 80 labor hours, because I'm now discussing about this alcohol production in the Portugal country. Okay, because I need to see what is its opportunity cost. We already have seen that the absolute cost differences are favorable to the Portugal for both of the goods, fine. But this comparative cost study says what? So for this, what I'll do, this 80 divided by 120 I'll do, because this is what between the country analysis. Whenever you do opportunity cost analysis, first of all, you have a two ways. The one is within the country you would find out which is more favorable to you, and second, between the country, you'll do the relative analysis and you'll find out which is more favorable to you. So first way is this, that 80 by 120 you'll be taking here, and then second 90 by 100 you'll be taking here. So both of the productions you'll be taking as in relative analysis. Okay, so 80 by 120 and 90 by 100 would be compared with each other, and you'll find this outcome. Okay, so obviously the cost of production is rising here. That means cloth is expensive to produce in the Portugal than this alcohol. Okay, so opportunity cost says, because you are doing the relative analysis, even that you can do in the within the country itself, which is more favorable to you and that is more visible to you. This requires 80 labor hours and this requires 90 labor hours. So of course this requires more cost. And between the countries you have done this relative analysis, 80 by 120 and 90 by 100. So again this is giving you that this cloth is more expensive to be produced in the Portugal. So Portugal will be opting this alcohol as a production for their specialization. Same way you'll be taking for the England. Okay, production cost of alcohol for this 120 by 80, and the production cost of cloth they would find that is 100 by 90. So which is greater? Of course, this 120 by 80 is greater than this. So this country would opt cloth as their specialization. So this analysis is basically your opportunity cost analysis. Okay, that could be even different, but within the country, yes, of course, they would easily choose because of number of labor hours required to produce only one unit. But between the countries, whenever do participate in the international trade, they can, give up the one completely and can opt one for their specialization. So this country, Portugal, will opt this alcohol, and this country would opt this cloth as their complete specialization. Now, if you go with that, the chart of the country, then this country is Portugal line. You would find it because first I'm just showing this, the absolute differences in the cost. So PL, if I would consider as the Portugal's line, fine, the Portugal's production possibility and also the Portugal's trade line, then this is indicating that it is giving you the better opportunities, or we say the higher absolute or absolute advantage in both of the goods, wine and the cloth itself. Okay, and here for the England, it is definitely lower, and their production possibilities are also lower than this Portugal. Then you can draw this another line, which is indicating basically an international trade line after this relative cost analysis. But I think a better would be explained by the next diagram if I would separate both of the countries. So here Portugal I'm taking as a separate diagram. Here we have same possibilities, the wine and the cloth. Before trade, the country is producing this much of wine and this much of cloth. Okay, and when they do participate in international trade, then they are completely specializing in the production of wine or the alcohol. Okay, so what happens after that? The country's international trade line would change. Okay, this is now international trade line. We do know that it is indicating a pro trade situation also. How it is a pro trade? They are consuming more of cloth. Okay, that is an importable commodity, and they are producing OL, which is completely they are producing, and this is indicating again pro trade in the production. If you make a triangle over here, this is giving you the exchange triangle also. So this much they'll keep for their own consumption of this wine, and the rest they would like to trade with the England. Okay, and this much they would be receiving, by exchanging this much of wine. So that is the Portugal's trade curve, and definitely it is moving on the higher indifference curve. And this is also indicating that this line is this line is here more flatter, and this line would be a bit steeper. So that is why the wine automatically, the reason, because the wine is becoming expensive to the country England now. Fine. So that is why relatively this green line would be steeper than this red line, and this giving you this Portugal country a more advantage while participating in international trade, because both sides they would be gained. The first, they would be now they are able to produce more of wine because they would shift their resources from the cloth industry to the wine industry, and second, they are having a favorable terms of trade line. If they will go with the domestic terms of trade line, that is flatter. But here, with respect to this wine, this is steeper. So that is why this is giving a more welfare to the community, and that's why it's showing more gains to the Portugal. Similarly, for England, you can also see here for the England, we have this, as we mentioned here, that this is having this much of production possibilities. So in that case, if entire cloth is being shifted to the England's production possibility from this autarky position to this, and still it is showing what the pro trade in consumption, because more what they are consuming, this is fine, and what they are producing more, that is cloth. And that's also indicating the higher community welfare for this nation England, because they do find now their price line, so the international trade line or the terms of trade have improved after participation in international trade, and because of that they are facing a flatter line, which is showing that now commodity cloth is getting expensive in international market. So England is also getting beneficial after participating in international trade, and because of the relative analysis of opportunity cost we have seen here. We can also analyze the Professor J.S. Mills analysis into it. Okay, he is adding something to it, and that is what the gains from trade and their distributions too. So here they've taken this two of the countries together again, and what they are saying that within England, okay, if the England would like to exchange this 120 units, oh, okay, 120 units to 100. Now I'm going back towards this possibility. See, now within the country, I'll do the analysis. Okay, this is 80 to 90, and this is 120 to 100. So for producing alcohol, England requires 120 units. Okay, and producing cloth, they require 100 units. So based on this, this Professor J.S. Mill is giving analysis. So we have 120 to 100. It means 1 is to 1.2. In other words, the England, if would like to produce this alcohol or the 1 unit of alcohol, they have to pay 1.2 units of cloth. Okay, so that is the production possibility and the exchange within the country, or the opportunity cost which they are getting within the country. And Portugal, if would like to produce, the 1 unit of alcohol, which is 80 to 90, okay, the cost analysis. So 1 unit of alcohol, if the Portugal would like to produce, they have to pay 0.89. So see, this exchange rate is favorable, because 1 unit of alcohol, if they would produce, they have to pay less than one. But here, the England has to pay more than one. So this is not favorable to them. Similarly, here also, if England is taking 100 is to 120, it means 1 unit of cloth would be produced by giving 0.83 of alcohol. So this is also favorable to England. But here with the Portugal, this is 1 is to 1.13. It means producing 1 unit of a cloth, Portugal has to give 1.13 of alcohol. So this is also an expensive deal. So what these two of the countries will do, they'll be opting this way. So Portugal will choose this exchange rate, okay, and or the opportunity cost, and this England will choose this opportunity cost. And based on this, the countries will move in this direction. Here, if I do consider, this is the Portugal's the production possibility curve, and this is the production possibility curve of the England. Then this is the international trade line. Okay, so both of the countries are being connected with the international trade line. So what is basically happening? You see here the 0.89 cloth this Portugal would be receiving after giving this 0.83 of wine, and vice versa. It means both of the countries will have an exchange. Okay, so this they have opted within the country itself, and they are exchanging. It means 0.89 would be given to them and 0.83 would be given to them. So this is being exchanged at the international level when they are facing the international trade lines. Okay, uh, till now, if you have any doubt, you can ask, because then we'll go for the alternative approach of it. Yes, anybody, if you have any doubt, you can ask. You can also text me, or I should proceed.
You just tell me, give me an indication. If it's clear to all.
Ma'am, it's clear.
Very good. Anybody else? Has any doubt about it? Okay. So let me go for alternative approach. So that's the alternative approach of it. Okay, so as we have seen in the Adam Smith's analysis of the absolute cost differences, the same way we are analyzing this, but the same way, but this is showing here a different, the production possibilities, and that is for US, it is, the wheat can be produced. This is now units, okay? This is not the labor hours. So wheat per bushels. Or sorry, per man hours, the wheat production. So it means 6 units of wheats or the 6 bushels of wheats are being produced with the per man hour. So 1 man hour required to produce the bushels of wheat, and similarly 4 yards of cloth. Similarly here also the one wheat bushel, and here the 2 yards of cloth. So these are the units, and in our previous analysis there was the labor hours. So that was a cost analysis, and this is a unit analysis. So that's the first difference between these two. Another thing is that we have seen in the last class, the Adam Smith's analysis, our absolute difference was very much clear in the alternative approach. But here, the absolute difference says that the US has the more absolute advantage in the production of both wheat and cloth as well. Okay, and the UK has the lower absolute advantage in both of the commodities. So what they'll do, according to the Ricardian theory, still the trade is possible. So we need to follow here the comparative cost analysis. So if you'll go for the comparative cost, so it will give you 6 is to 1. Okay, and then here it is giving you 4 is to 2. So here by giving 1 unit of cloth, you can produce 6 units of wheat. Fine. Similarly, here by giving 2 units of cloth, and the UK within this is between the country. Okay, between the country, the US is definitely having a more advantage. One more thing is which is very much clear. 6 is to 1 and 4 is to 2. If you compare these two together, then still this is more. Okay, I repeat, 6 is to 1. This is one analysis of relative analysis of between countries, and a second is 4 is to 2. And both you are comparing together, this is greater. And if this is greater, the US, because this is having both ways, a more absolute advantage in both of the commodities, they have to choose this wheat as their complete specialization here. The reason behind it, when they go for this relative analysis on an opportunity cost between the countries, the 6 is to 1 is greater than 4 is to 2. So here we are taking greater than analysis, not the less than analysis, because this is a unit analysis, not the labor hours analysis. So that's the one difference. Another thing is that if US is taking this as complete specialization, and this country, if you go within the country analysis, they have a more units they can produce over here, or we can say a least comparative cost which is being occurred in the production of this cloth in the UK. So they'll be opting this as a complete specialization. Now, how this country or these countries would gain after the international trade? Now, let's say if this country is shifting their resources, from cloth industry to here, then definitely the approach would be similar, because 1 hour can produce 6 W. Fine. So in that case, you required how much? You required at least 10 minutes to produce this wheat per bushel. Okay. So per bushel wheat, you required only 10 minutes. So if you shift this, so 15 minutes you can save, and 30 minutes, I guess you would save. Or whenever you shift it, how many hours you would be actually saving over here? So 1 hour, it means 60 minutes and 4. So you require 15 minutes to produce. So 15 or 60 minutes you would shift here, then you can produce here 12 W. Fine. So that is a capacity. I'm just talking about within an hour. That is the US capacity to produce this much. But if only you are taking into the account of 1 hour, then shifting this 1 to here, this gives you only 4C. So 4C cannot be exchanged, between the international trade. The reason, because 4C already US was producing within an hour. So what US will opt? The US has to opt another strategy. They'll be going the same way what we discussed in the last class, that is 1:1 exchange rate. It means if the USA will give 6W, then they would like to, opt or get from UK, that is 6C. So then only this 1:1 exchange rate would be possible. So how we would analyze this situation? If we have 1:1 exchange rate, the 6W would be given to this UK. Okay. So now what is happening? The 6 hours would be saved by this UK. Same way. Okay. So the 6 hours would be utilized here to produce this cloth. So how much cloth they can produce now? Now they are able to produce 12 C, or the 12 units of the cloth. So 6C, they'll keep their own consumption, and remaining 6C, they'll be giving to this USA in their exchange. So that's how this country would gain. And similarly, 2C is now in addition to this 4C. So 2C or 15 multiplied by 2, 30 minutes they would be saving here and can be utilized in the production of wheat again. So this way, both of the countries would gain, from the international trade. So it's not only about the 1 hour, but if you are taking into the 1 hour, then the trade is definitely not possible. But whenever they will be opting, the exchange rate, they will go and they would save, this much of the hours. Their consumption of W would rise, and shifting of this much of the time which they would save now will be, giving you the more production of the cloth in the UK. So that's how both of the countries would participate in exchange, and they'll be gaining out of it. So that was an alternative approach of it. Is there any query regarding it? And then I can move further on the criticism part. This also can be analyzed in this way. See here, this country, if would shift these resources here, so 1 hour would be utilized here, so 2 would be converted into the 4C. So that is the first thing which the country immediately will do. The second thing is that the country would gain, which is what is 6W. 6W because they are exchanging. So here the country would be getting 6W. So 4C is lower than the 6W. Now from the 6W, you are saving hours here, and you can convert your production possibilities from 4C to 12C. So you can write like this: 4C or the greater lower than sign, that is 6W, and then again lower than sign, that is 12C. Okay, so this way they would determine their opportunity cost within the country itself. And then the trade is possible according to the Ricardian's analysis. Yes, anybody, if you have any doubt or query, you may ask. Are you going through the books or not after the lectures? Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Okay, then let's proceed for the criticism. So first of all, we have unrealistic assumptions of the labor cost, because first of all, we are considering there is a homogeneous labor. So that is unrealistic, of course. We are following some perfect competitive markets assumption. Whatever we are, calculating this labor cost, that is, always we do follow that is equals to the marginal productivity based on the constant returns to scale, which is a fixed proportion, which is not even realistic. So that's why the labor cost assumption is not giving you the actual picture. No similar taste. The similar taste what we are talking about, if the one country, Portugal, is revealing their choices for this cloth, so doesn't mean that the other country like England will reveal their choices for the wine only. They may also choose cloth for their own consumption. So in that case, you cannot find pro trade situation in the international trade always. So it's not the case of the international trade always. And then static assumption of a fixed proportion, because constant returns to scales and average productivity and a marginal productivity would remain same. So all these assumptions are static, and we cannot follow in a dynamic world. Then unrealistic assumption of a constant cost. because production possibility curve, what we are taking over here, that is a straight line, which is also not realistic. The country is opting always complete specialization because of presence of constant cost. That is the unrealistic. Then we are ignoring transportation cost as it is very important. We'll be taking this topic in the refinement that transportation cost is also important to determine these international trade. And then factors not fully mobile internally, that is also the case. Whenever we do follow, there is an imperfect factor mobility between the countries. So that is also the case when we do talk about the factors are also fully mobile. When we talk about, that's not possible. The reason, because there are also the presence of immobile of the factors, because you are also running your production into the short run too. So that's also making difference. The theory of distribution, as was mentioned by Professor Samuelson, and the two country two commodity model is also unrealistic. So in the refinements, we'll be changing this part too. So we may have more countries, we may have more commodities for making it more realistic. Then unrealistic assumption of a free trade. So that's also not possible nowadays. The free trade, whenever we do talk about even custom, the theory of economic integration also, that's not giving you such definition without any obstacles. So there is always a minimum tariff imposition, and we call it free trade. Unrealistic assumption of full employment. So that's also not possible, that all of the factors are being employed and utilized in the economy. There is always unemployment which is existing. Self interest hinders its operation. The reason, because some of the things, like we are talking about only supply side economy, we are not talking about a demand side economy. So some of the things are like transportation cost, which we are making zero, and for simplicity we have followed some of its assumptions, which is actually making supply automatically equals to demand. So we cannot say that it is favoring the realistic life. So that is not giving you the proper operation of this theory. Then neglects the role of technology, and because technology is constant, we are following here the exogenous model, and that is why the technologies are given to you, and constant returns to scale does not allow you to change it. So everything is constant and given to you. One sided theory, as only supply side theory it is. We are not talking about aggregate demand, we are not talking about the people who are consuming it. Only merely saying this similar taste will not solve your problem. Then incomplete theory, this theory, because requires a demand aspect too. Impossibility of complete specialization, that's not a realistic one. The nowadays all countries are going for product diversification. They are producing lot many goods within the country, and present situation is also motivating doing the same. So we have the realistic thing, that is what the incomplete specialization, which is a clumsy and a dangerous tool, because it's giving you supply, but there is no way of the people's demand, consumers demand, to make it equal or a balanced situation. So always this is giving you trouble. You'll not find the people for consumption. So that's the another dangerous thing, which is coming out this model. So comparative advantage gives you a specialization theory based on the opportunity cost, and this is important to identify comparative differences between a country, so that country can know which production will make them more developed. So it means opportunity cost is helping those countries where they can shift their resources towards those goods where they are having least comparative cost and the more comparative advantage, to specialize it more and can get a more favorable results from the world economy or the international trade. So that's all about the fundamentals of comparative advantage. Yes, everyone. If you still have doubt, you can ask.
Or we can wind up.
Ma'am, can you please show the previous slides, the position of free trade of England and Portugal?
Which slide? Can you give me the title of it?
Ma'am, the free trade position of England and Portugal
Free trade. Wait.
position.
Okay, you tell me. I'm going to the screen. So you're mentioning previous. Which previous? This one?
No, ma'am.
JS Mill?
This is the post trade, na?
Pre-trade you're talking about. Do you mean this or this you are talking about? This is not a pre-trade situation. I'm just mentioning here, this is the England's, okay, production possibility curve, and this is Portugal's production possibility curve. And this is showing only that they have an absolute differences in the cost. So both ways, the England is producing cloth less and also this wine less. So when they would shift their resources, their possibilities would change like this. So
What
that was
that
the idea.
ER curve? ER
Yeah.
curve. ER curve.
What come again? ER curve. This ER curve is basically an international trade line. What we are saying that if this country, okay, if this country have those differences, this country would move in this direction. They are just giving a path. Okay, so it means this country would opt cloth as a complete specialization. It means they are opting this as a production point. So their consumption point would lie somewhere here, and this has been shown here. So I'm not touching it to another axis because that is not realistic. So I would prefer to going like that because I cannot follow the exchange rate which is equals to 1:1 for both of the nations. That could be different. So that's why I have made an alternate diagrams of it. You see, I'm not joining both of the curves together.
Yes, ma'am.
It's just indicating that you are going or reaching up on the higher community welfare after participating in international trade, which was the motive of Ricardian theory.
Okay, ma'am.
Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any other? So, can we wind up now?